Welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer Long from Be So Inspired, and today I'm going to be teaching you my favorite method for half square rectangles. I use half square rectangles in a lot of my patterns. I think they're a super fun way. They're easy, and I can't wait to show you how to make them happen. It's like magic. So all you'll need is your fabric that you're going to be using. And I always use, my trick is a paper template. So I don't always use paper because I don't like to use paper with my rotary cutter so that it'll dull the blade. I use like a stabilizer, like an embroidery stabilizer that's not terrible. So just like a sew-in stabilizer. And I usually mark on there the size of my finished half square rectangle. So this half square rectangle is going to finish at 5 and 6.5, and it's one that I'm going to be using in my ballerina pattern. So today I'm using the spin and twirl fabric. It's such a cute fabric line. It's a ballet fabric line. And if you know anything about me, you know that I used to be a professional ballet dancer. So this is a new line by the Riley Blake fabric designers called Spin and Twirl. And I am just using these two prints here. I'm going to lower you down and show you how to make a half square rectangle like that. Let's get started. All right, so I have my two fabrics. Now I need to mention that my end rectangle is going to be much smaller than these squares. And so you can't do it like a half square triangle. Sometimes you can get away with having them the exact same. You cannot in a half square rectangle. You want to make sure your squares or your rectangles are oversized to your finished rectangle. So I need to have one going in one direction. I need to have one half square rectangle going in this direction and one going in this direction. We're going to use the one at a time method, and we're going to have to make them twice because we're going to have our angles going in different directions. So I'm going to put the right sides together just to show you. I'm going to take just a pen so you can see it nice and dark and my ruler. I'm going to draw a line where I'm going to be sewing on my half square rectangle and the angle that I'm going to want it. And I'm going to draw a line down one side. I need to make sure that I do the opposite direction the opposite way because you don't get a chance to change directions like you can in a HST or in a half square triangle. In a half square rectangle, once you've sewn this line, you're committed to this this design. So now I'm going to take my half square rectangles. If I was to sew on this line just like I did, this is what you'd end up with. A beautiful shape, but that is not a rectangle. So the trick and the magic happens like this. I am going to take this top fabric that I just drew my line on, put one finger on each corner, and then I twist it to the opposite corners. So when I twist it to the opposite corners, that's what I want to pin. It looks kind of different. It's maybe even a little scary and a bit wonky, but believe me, after you sew directly on this line, you are going to have a wonderful half square rectangle. This is going in the opposite direction because I need two going in either direction. So I'm going to turn this one going in this direction. And I'm going to pin and pin and pin. Great. Now we're going to head over to the sewing machine. All right, so here we are at the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew directly on this line. So I am just going to take my my needle, make sure it's lined up right center on that line, and I'm going to sew all the way down. Never sew over your pins. Pull them out before. And I'll do one on the other one. This is why it's nice to have it pinned so that you don't have to be fiddling with it right now at the sewing machine. You can just concentrate on sewing directly down that line. All right, cut. And let's go back to the cutting table. So here we are back at the cutting table. I've sewn along that dark line that you can see easily. And when I pull this down, you're going to see it makes a wonderful rectangle. And then if this one comes down, it makes another wonderful rectangle. So that is what I want. I want the dark pink on the top and the light pink at the bottom. If I wanted it the other way around, then I would have it this way. So before you do any trimming, just take a peek. Now, because I'm making 2 in both sides, you know, really it's the same thing as this, right? But not to confuse the issue, if you're just making 1 half square rectangle or you have directional prints, do make sure that you test. So do make sure I want the dark on top and the light on pink. So this is what I'm keeping, which means I am going to trim away this inside pieces. So I'm going to take my ruler here and I'm going to trim away this inside piece. Good. Put this in my scrap bin because those are, you know, decent sized pieces that I can cut and use something else with them. Good. And I'm going to open them up. So you can follow the directions on your pattern for if you press the seams over or open. I'm going to press my seams open just for ease here. All right, so I'm going to press my seams open here just because I don't want to have a ton of bulk in all of my seams, but you can press your seams in the direction the pattern suggests or to the darker side. So I'm going to just press this open once this way. Good. And that way. Excellent. Now, I always loved I always hold on to this little flamingo in my hand here because it's just great to get myself started when you're pressing seams open. So I always keep her in my ironing station. I actually have a couple, and I keep this one in my ironing station so that I can easily open that up. Good, and there we go. All right, so here we go. We have 2 half square rectangles. They're going in each direction, and I'm making sure that they're nice and flat. The seam is nice and flat. Now, for the final part, we take our template that we made out of your paper or your stabilizer, and the most important part is that you line up these 2 corners on the seam. So you don't want to, even if it ends up looking wonky like this, you want to make sure that those are ending up on your seam so that your corner to corner half square rectangle will be exactly straight. Once you've got that lined up, I prep my ruler on top and I'll trim these 2 sides. Good, and then I'll move to the other 2 sides. There we go. And there's our 5 by 6.5 half square rectangle. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So make sure my corner is matching my corner. And I'm going to put my ruler over top and trim along the 2 sides. And the other 2 sides. And there we go, 2 half square rectangles. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me for the half square rectangle tutorial. I'm really happy you are here. Again, my name is Jennifer Long from Be So Inspired. If you liked that, I'd love it if you came over to the website at besoinspired.com. Sign up for the weekly newsletter. We give tons of free content, always having something new happening. Love to have you over there. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe so you can always see when our new tutorials come out. And if you haven't already, please pick up a Be So Inspired pattern where you're going to practice and put these half square rectangles into real life situations like any of the Be patterns, or there's a gnome pattern as well. Just browse through and see which ones you'd like. So happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me today and hope you now enjoy half square rectangles. See you next time. Bye.